and drive them old trucks. Let them be doctors.
Hi guys, welcome to Truth Talkin Thursday. This is Jim and I'm Jane, and I just pulled a really bad thing. I just pressed record and yeah. So here's the thing. Jim just asked me a really interesting question. So Jim, what did you ask me?
Well, first of all, I've been pressed into service here, unbeknownst to me, but sort of thing. But I had asked Jane if she had to give, say, 2 or 3 or 4 reasons why the teen suicide rates are so high, what would she say?
So you'd like me to answer that?
I would.
Okay. So I told Jim that I feel like some of it definitely comes from what they see in how us as their parents handle things. I don't think we give near enough credit or realization to how much we actually do affect our children in our actions. They watch us all the time, and they learn from us how to handle things, and then they accept that as normal. And I do agree, mental illness and changes like that have an effect on that as well. But I feel like a lot of it is a social pressure. I feel like it comes from the high degree of social pressures that everybody experiences.
Well,
now how about you answer that?
That's pretty definitive.
I would like to know what you think.
Well, I think I agree with you in terms of the mental health piece. I think I'm not sure that we as parents understand the degree to which our children are experiencing depression and stress and a lack of self-confidence.
But why are they experiencing depression and stress? Some of it comes from us because they're taking on the concerns we have financially and the stresses, and they see us fighting with our spouse or unable to deal ourselves, so we come home and have 7 beers after work to relax. Or
Oh, I think that parents actually need to go back to school. I really do. In that I'm not sure that they understand quite the role that they play. But how many times have we seen, and if we were to take a look at the research and some numbers and all that kind of thing, what we're seeing basically is there's more young people, more young adults that are sort of barging into the role of parents long before I think some of them are ready to be parents.
So why is that happening?
Well, because number one, they can. Number two, if we look at kids today, in a physical sense, I mean, there's kids that are shaving in grade 8 in public school, for crying out loud, guy. The kids are growing up a lot faster. It has to do with food, and it has to do with all kinds of things.
Like all the hormones and additives that are in our foods. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
All of that stuff. But physically they're growing up faster, but emotionally and mentally they're not.
Right.
And parents, I mean, how many times you go through the lineup at the grocery store, or you're standing in line to go to a movie, but you hear parents and you see parents talking about their kids and how they talk to them. Some like, grow up, act your age, all that kind of stuff. Well, the kid's 13 years old. How old is he supposed to act? What is he supposed to do?
Yeah. And what does grow up mean?
What does grow up mean? Sometimes I hear fathers talk about that to their sons. Grow some balls, be a man. Stand up, man up. And what does that mean? What does man up mean? And the funny thing is, that comes back to exactly what we were just talking about.
How do they learn?
Mm-hmm.
So they say, oh, dad must mean I'm supposed to be like him, or oh, mom must mean I'm supposed to be like her.
Right.
And so if we aren't the examples that we're supposed to be,
right,
how can you expect them to think a man or a woman acts any different than
And what do they learn? What do they learn? I think it's really sad that we just can't allow our kids to be who they are and to guide them through that growing process. But, like I say, you see mom walking down the street, she's got a little mini skirt on and all this kind of stuff, and the daughter's, they're trying to be friends to their kids, and you can't be, and they don't need you as friends. They need you as parents. So for me, there's a void there's a void there in some respects in terms of parents and kids and
So-
the lessons that they're learning or not learning from their parents.
So you would feel that the reason that teenage suicide is so high is because of parents?
No, not solely because of parents. I think that they're ill prepared for some of the situations that they find themselves in. Go back to school again. School is extremely stressful now for kids. The whole testing thing and the whole, my goodness, what happens if I don't get past, and if I don't get a good mark and I'm going to be in crap at home. And there's just a tremendous amount of stress for them to be successful at school.
So do you think there's too many expectations put on children?
I think that there is for their ages a lot of the time. I don't think that the expectations that's put on them are age appropriate. You get little kids because both parents are working, and in some cases they have to work to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it's to make ends meet so that they can have the lifestyle that they've gotten themselves into.
Yes.
$800,000 house, or a $40,000 car, or whatever it happens to be. And I don't begrudge people the right to go out and have those things, but so both parents have got to work. And you've got a 10-year-old or 11-year-old that's babysitting his 2 or 3 or 4-year-old daughter, a sister or brother. Yeah. And little kids that are 10, 11, and 12 years old are not, number one, should not be babysitting and responsible for another human life at that age. Tremendously stressful. I mean, and maybe they don't even know how stressful it is. It just is, and they feel a certain way.
Especially if something happens.
Well, especially if something happens. Who are they going to blame?
Exactly.
I know who I'd blame, but I mean
I know, but the child isn't going to do that. The child is going to blame themselves.
Well,
I was in charge. I was responsible,
I
and this is what happened on my watch. So now I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's that. There's the stress and the depression that goes along with expectations not lived up to. The bullying that goes on in schools systems, and they just can't seem to. And the schools are falling over themselves trying to be nice to the people who bully because well, they just need to have some understanding. They need a shot in that sort of thing, and I mean, but there's reasons why kids bully other kids.
Yeah.
I mean, they're stressed, they're depressed,
But that's still no excuse.
No, it's
for
not
the,
an excuse.
For the actions.
But it's an
I think
explanation.
I understand that, but I think that's what kills me. It seems like society now, we stop at the explanation.
Yes.
We go and we the explanation becomes an excuse. That's what I mean to say.
Yep.
And I think that's wrong. I think that is terribly, terribly wrong for us to do that. There's no excuse for that.
So
everybody is responsible for their actions. Every single one of us is responsible, good or bad, for the actions.
Should be. But if you don't have parents that go through that, if you have parents particularly that I mean, when you go to school now, the teachers don't have any more rights. The school system itself doesn't have any right to discipline the kids anymore. You don't do that to my kid. You call me. Well, I called you 5 times and you didn't bother showing up. Well, I have to work for a living. Well, then we have a problem here because I'm working for a living too, and it isn't working out too well for me over in this end of the deal.
Yeah.
So I mean, we with all great trends and with all great ideas, society tends to take the pendulum and swing way over here. Some of it is good. If you've got a whole bunch of it, it's got to be better.
Yeah. And
so we take that to the very nth degree, and now the kids are so entitled that they can do anything they want to get away with it because it's within their human rights.
Right. So it seems like we have several main reasons for why there has been such an increase in teenage suicide. We have social media. Mm-hmm. And the social obligations and responsibilities that not only teens, but I guess we all feel. Mm-hmm. We have the example that we as parents are, and the adults that are in the children's lives that they watch and learn from. Mm-hmm. We have the expectations that are placed on them via the school system, via, again, social media and their parents. And all in all, these poor kids aren't being taught how to deal with life.
Right.
And that's pretty scary when you think about that in the big picture. All these things are important.
Yeah.
Very important.
Very important.
And I think it's
life and death.
I think it would be wise for us to all give that some thought, to think about that, and just try and be more aware of it. Taking a look at ourselves in the mirror. Am I showing my kids what I want to show them? Am I being who I want to be? I think to me that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I think if we think really hard and use our brains, think for ourselves, and I think that's a very good gauge, as long as we stick to that, to portray and to display who we want to be. So have a great week, everybody.
Thanks for stopping by.